The strategic minds behind Stop Bullying couldn't make it that night, but we pestered her into coming back, and tonight she's going to talk to us about another cool site that HHS has, and that's Flu.gov. So please welcome Katie Gorsuch.
Try to adjust this. All right. Thank you all for having me. And yes, I do manage 2 of the secretarial priority websites at HHS. I was out of the country in October, so my superior came and spoke about Flu.gov, which I'll be happy to answer questions about later as well. But for today, I'll be talking about Flu.gov, which is obviously very topical. We are winding down the flu season, though, which is good, especially here on the East Coast, so yay. So what I wanted to talk about is that, Flu.gov is really a seasonal website. Obviously, people start ramping up thinking about flu in August, September. It peaks in December, January, February, and then starts to wind down. So every year we know it's coming. We don't know what it's going to be like, so it's kind of hard to prepare. We can only really look at historically what we've had to deal with in the past. So last flu season was pretty mild, so we kind of went into this one thinking, okay, it's going to be mild, and for the most part it has. But what we look to do each year is to improve upon our website. So what we did here was we have a vaccine finder, which is on our home page, and we recently re-partnered with Harvard Children's Hospital, and they're the ones that help populate this site. So we've had this finder for a while, but some of the improvements we made this year is that we can actually sort by type of flu vaccine. There are 4 different ones available for this year, and as we go into next year, we'll be getting to the eggless vaccine, which is a really big leap. So we'll have to change it again. But people were able to search by what is locally, in their neighborhood, whether they can get a nasal spray or flu shot, a combination thereof, what is available to them and their family. And then probably about a month ago, the adult vaccine finder was added to this. This is something that I'm not directly involved with, but it's also presented on the finder, so people can find out where they can get HPV vaccines and other adult vaccines, and that will sit on the site in the off time when flu is not as big of a deal. But this is something that, in particular, has helped people look at our Flu.gov site as a consumer-facing website. Obviously, we work with the CDC and the FDA for a lot of our information, but it's really important that we provide information that's easily understood by the general public. What the basic things you need to know about the flu vaccine, what you should do to prevent the flu season. And the biggest driver of our site is really to go get the vaccine. And so this has been one of our biggest priorities, is to get this vaccine finder up and running and to improve upon it every year. So it's been widely used. We just go back to the main site. Another thing that we did this season, we have not really explored infographics as much as we could have with our site, and it's something that we're seeing all over the place. We thought, we should explore flu vaccine infographic for National Influenza Vaccination Week, which happened in, I guess it was the second week of December. So I decided to create an infographic with our, actually I think our Aquilent contractor, so go Aquilent. And we created this basic flu vaccination, what you need to know, who needs to get vaccinated, when you need to get vaccinated, how do you find the vaccine, who's at risk for flu-related complications. And so we created this infographic, and it's out on our site. We promoted it on social media. And a funny thing happened in early January, and I find it interesting because so often we look to the general news media to get our information, or I rely on CDC or FDA to tell me what's going on. And in the first week of January, I started to notice that everything I'd been putting out on Twitter was reaching about 500,000 people, which is about 10 times as much that we normally reach at that time of the year. And I thought, oh, this is really kind of interesting. I wonder what's going on. And what was happening was people were getting sick. They were having problems finding the vaccine. They were panicking because there were so many things going out, the neurovirus, stomach viruses, flu, colds, everything. People were just automatically, oh gosh, I have the flu, what do I do? So people were really starting to engage on social media and our Flu.gov Twitter feed to try to find out information about the flu, what they should do for them and their families. And this was about a week before the news media picked up that there's this, oh gosh, we're having a big bad flu season, what are we going to do? And so we kind of already knew that it was coming, we could prepare for it. And so what we started finding out is that our different partners that we had this infographic available, they're like, hey, we already have something. We don't have to rush to get something ready together for this flu season. And it started to be mass distributed across the country. They asked for it in a paper format so they could hand it out on vans, they could put it in different medical centers, etc. So it's one of those things where we thought of it as very much an online product that would just sit on our site, and then it grew to something much, much more. So as we look for the next flu season, which we know it's always coming, what we can do is, one thing we've really thought is we need to expand upon our infographics and provide these as visuals, not only for traditional media to have something that they can use that's not your standard image of somebody sneezing, but they could use something that's very informative, tells people a story about what they should know about the flu. They get all the basic information. And in essence, it really outlines the 4 or 5 top points of our website. You know, get your flu vaccine. If you're at high risk, make sure that person is getting their flu vaccine. How to not spread the germs amongst your family and your coworkers. And so I know we've been running a little bit short on time, so I'm going to wrap it up with one very important piece of information that I learned. I took on the flu site about a year ago. And the best thing we have is a video on our site where Elmo is teaching you the proper way to sneeze. So if you don't know, you sneeze in your bendy place, which is your elbow. You're not going to spread it all through the air, but you blow into your elbow. So thank you all.